I attended concert, which I love to do, and my husband and I love to do in our free time.
Right.
There was a mass shooting, so I had a lot of survivor's guilt, but it also made me start questioning my life. If I had a funeral, what would people say?
Change is inevitable. Like every success happens because you changed something and you it was a fear that was within you.
Motivation only lasts for a short amount of time, but discipline is what carries you forward.
I can't do this on my own, period.
Are you looking at your business in terms of emotion, or are you looking at your business in terms of what's practical?
I still believe that America is the best country in the world. Where can kid of immigrants with no education become a physician?
This is Small Business Celebration, where we're celebrating small businesses for big breakthroughs.
Hello Visioneers, and welcome to another fantastic episode here on Small Business Celebration. We're going to be talking about an effective lead magnet for your business. We're also going to be talking about the feeling, yeah, I'm just not doing enough, and is that toxic or not? And of course, we're playing the Visioneer Game, and our guest this week is Jenica Willis, the owner of the Nest & Company. Welcome to Small Business Celebration.
Thank you for having me.
For Visioneers who don't know who you are, who are you, and what is it that you do?
Yeah, my name is Jenica Willis, and I own the Nest & Company. We have been open since 2018, and we provide prenatal and postpartum services and products.
How did you get started in all this?
Definitely was one of those people who kind of already knew what they were going to do when they were young.
Okay.
Mostly because my parents planted that in my head.
Okay, sure.
They said, Jenica, you will be a nurse. With the exception of my first year in college, where I kind of said, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be a journalist.
Rebel. That's what you are, yes.
Just a little.
And how did you arrive here? Because you started off in your house.
Started nursing school.
Right.
I met this incredible instructor and nurse named Leah Elliott, and she introduced me to this world of other side of birth, because I thought for sure I'd be helping moms and babies.
Right.
And I just thought maybe that would be, in hospitals, in like a labor and delivery unit. She taught me that there were other things like IBCLCs, which are International Board Certified Lactation Consultants.
Okay.
She taught me that there were childbirth educators. She taught me about doulas and midwives and home birth. And all of those things sounded really interesting. And I thought, what? People are having babies at home?
Well, doesn't everybody have a baby in the hospital?
Well, no.
Okay.
And so those are things that I dove into and thought, gosh, yeah, I ended up here. I jumped into the rabbit hole, and I'm still in there.
And you started this out of your house?
Yeah, I started childbirth education out of my home. So I would bring couples and families to my house, or I'd go to their home, right, and I'd educate them there and teach them about what to expect. Prior, or I would say before, people would call them Lamaze classes.
Sure, okay.
I think that's what they're more commonly known as,
right,
probably like generation before me.
Right.
Sometimes we see people who call us and say, oh, I'm looking for a Lamaze class. And we're like, yes, you found the right place. And that's what I started in my home. And it just kind of grew from there. There's a few things that happened in my life. I met a group of really awesome people who had a similar vision. Our ideas collided and thought, wow, we should come together and create something. And then the other thing was that I worked a job that I didn't absolutely love. I attended concert, which I love to do, and my husband and I love to do in our free time.
Right.
There was a mass shooting.
Oh no.
And we came home and we survived, and so I had a lot of survivor's guilt, but it also made me start questioning my life, what I was doing, and I knew that I liked nursing, but I didn't love my job. And I thought, like, if I didn't walk out of there, what would they have said about me? Like, Jenica, if I had a funeral, or what would people say? Because obviously I was fairly young,
right,
and I think that most people knew, like, she likes her job, but she doesn't care for it, because I talk about that.
Right, sure.
And they knew I was teaching childbirth education, and I just told my husband one day, I don't want to keep on doing what I'm doing, because I don't really feel like I'm making much of a difference in the world. And he said, well, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to teach childbirth education. I want to make the Nest, which I kind of already played around with the name. I said, I want to make that a real thing. So then I approached the people that I shared the similar idea with, and I said, hey, I think I want to open this place. Do you want to come with me? And then we talked about what that would look like. And at the time, they were providing drop-in breastfeeding help. We worked together, and we got our first location.
What's the difference between Lamaze and childbirth education?
Lamaze is childbirth education.
Okay.
So when childbirth education started becoming popular in the United States, all of these different like methods popped up, right?
Sure.
So there was like Lamaze and Bradley, right?
Okay.
A few others that I can't think of off the top
Sure,
of my head.
right.
Lamaze is childbirth education. In the beginning of Lamaze, most people, they were more commonly known for like their breathing techniques. Like, this is how you'll breathe during labor. He, ha, ha, that kind of thing.
Sure.
And then they've changed since then, and really they focus on evidence-based information and how to cope through labor. And really that's where kind of like that broad childbirth education comes from. And we don't, now, our childbirth educators that work here, they all have different backgrounds. So some of them are Lamaze certified, and some of them are Bradley certified, and some of them are, have different certifications, but it's all the same. They're all
end result's the
teaching.
same, right?
The end result is to provide evidence-based information to our clients. So.
One of the things that's fascinating about the services you provide is you have a milk bank.
Yeah.
The thing about a milk bank that's fascinating is that it has a lot of the same characteristics as a blood bank. Why did you start a milk bank?
Well, okay, so we work with the milk bank, but we happen to be one of their milk depots.
Okay.
The milk bank we work with is San Jose Mother's Milk Bank. They collect milk for hospitals and mostly NICUs. That's the neonatal intensive care unit.
Okay.
Hospitals in the western region of the United States. There's a huge shortage of donor milk.
Right.
And so often those really, really small, fragile babies can't have anything other than breast milk.
Right.
And so that's where they come in. And we're obviously there's a huge need for it. And even in our community, we've done some milk drives with them.
Right.
And we felt like, well, wouldn't it be great to just have a place where people can come learn more about how to become a donor, and also have a place for them to just drop off their milk so they don't have to fuss with the shipping. We'll take care of all of that. And so that's how we became a milk depot. Is we've sent quite a bit of milk, thousands of ounces here locally over to San Jose. And the cool thing is that it circles back and comes back to our community. So babies here are benefiting from the milk that we collect.
What does an outpatient lactation clinic do?
What do they not do?
Okay, all right, sure, fair enough.
Yeah, so we see people once they leave the hospital, and usually that's during the course of lactation. So for some people that's a short time, and some people that's a really long time. Could be years. So we are dealing with pumping issues, milk production issues. Sometimes it's no issues, and people just need the reassurance that things are going well. And sometimes there are problems that people encounter a little bit more difficult, like oral restrictions. We work with pediatricians and local dentists and local body workers like chiropractors and cranial sacral therapists to make sure that the feeding experience and lactation experience is enjoyable and productive. So
just because you don't think it's normal doesn't mean it isn't.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Sometimes we just need that research, especially as parents, right?
This is perfectly normal. It's perfectly okay.
Yes, exactly.
What is a childbirth educator, and why should one be hired?
A childbirth educator is somebody who will provide evidence-based information about what to expect during pregnancy, labor, birth, and the immediate postpartum period. They're the people who prepare you for what you don't know. Also teach you how to advocate for yourself. Because we all need to know and prepare for things. And we prepare for lots of things in life. Labor and birth shouldn't be one of those things that are left out of that, especially with the state of our maternal health care in the United States. It's not the greatest. And so I think that empowering parents to know, like, what our bodies do,
Right.
what is normal, what is not normal, and the questions to ask your provider, so that way you can build confidence in your provider, because that's a relationship, right? You have to trust the person that's you will be birthing with. I think all of those are great reasons why to hire a childbirth educator. So.
You also supply diapers. What precipitated that?
We just saw a need in our community. I mean, obviously we're running a business, but I think like everyone here, all of our hearts are in it. And so we're always looking for the need in our community, right? And diapers is just one of them. We started looking into the research, and there's this huge organization, a nationwide organization that's a diaper depot.
Right.
Because we're not a nonprofit, we couldn't sign up to be one of their depots.
Right, sure.
But so we thought, well, can't we just do it ourselves? We see a need, and we know people in our community need diapers, and so we just collect donations. We stock a little some shelves in our stock room and allow clients to come in, and with no strings attached, they just come in once a month and can get a pack of wipes and diapers in whatever size they need.
And if you need a home for those diapers, for the little one that is coming along the way, might I suggest you reach out to Mike Saba, a Zillow Premier agent with Watson Realty. Born and raised and never left Bakersfield. Give Mike Saba a call at 661-203-8406 or reach him at mikesaba1@icloud.com today. He is also the sponsor of our Visioneer question. And Visioneer Andrea asks, we are trying to find an interesting lead magnet that's not internet-based. What have you done that works?
Well, I think that what's great is really knowing your clientele. And I say that in the very beginning, we were trying to reach everyone.
Right.
I mean, in our heads, we're like everybody who has a baby or who knows somebody who has a baby, that's our clientele. And so I think that that's the first thing, is getting really clear on who you're serving.
Right.
And then that's where you create your lead magnet.
You have an ingenious lead magnet, because we're sitting in it right here, right now.
Yes.
For Visioneers who've never been here before, describe where we're at.
Okay, so we're in our storefront.
Okay.
So we have a storefront here. It was really not supposed to be here.
Right.
Really, like the bread and butter of our business are our services. We function as an outpatient lactation clinic. We're the only facility in Bakersfield providing that service.
Right.
Where we accept insurance and cash pay, FSA, HSA.
Right.
For those services. People love tangible items, right?
Right, sure.
People love baby things. Not saying that people don't love to be educated or they don't love support, but I think that that's just harder for people. And also, it wasn't something that existed. What we were creating didn't really exist in Bakersfield. But baby stores that was easy, because people know what to expect when they walk into a store that has these items.
Right.
And so it grew in a way where we could just have somebody come in and we could educate them about the support services that are here and that are available in the community. So,
and it also helps that parent coming in that doesn't know what kind of gift to give for a mother or expectant mother.
Right. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And it really stemmed from that we were renting. We only decided to sell things because we do lactation consulting.
Right.
We deal with pumps, and we were renting pumps, and we needed to be able to sell the pump kit. And that's where really it started. And then during the pandemic, when everybody was at home, people were shopping online, and the things that we were selling on our online storefront, which were mostly pump parts and breastfeeding supplies, went crazy. And we listened to our clientele. They said, hey, you have a store, you should have this, or I would like this. We just listened to the parents. And so that's what we started carrying in the store, and it just took off from there. So.
And that brings us to the Visioneer Game. Now, Visioneers, if you're not familiar with the Visioneer Game, the way that it works is I have a random word generator here on my phone, and I have no idea what words it's going to generate. And more importantly, neither does our guest. And our guest has to take 3 randomly picked words and somehow take each word and associate it with her business. Are you ready?
As ready as I'm gonna be.
Okay, all right. Well, the very first word is clear.
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 Okay. So at the Nest,
Right.
all of the professionals that work here help clear the path from pregnancy to early parenthood for parents because it's so bogged down with everything.
Sure.
Right. And so we help clear that path so that they know what direction to go in and who to ask for help.
Nice, love it. Well done, you.
Yes.
All right, congratulations. That's our first word. Okay, our second word is king.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh gosh, king. So you threw me off on king.
See?
Well, I would say that usually king is associated with a male figure, but in this circumstance, I'm going to say that the mothers are the kings or the queens or both because they're the ones who are doing the hard work, right?
I love it.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely. Close enough. We'll give you
Okay,
that
okay,
one.
okay,
All right. Oh, you're going to love this last one. Okay. Rubbish. And no, you can't say the last word was rubbish. No, that doesn't
well,
count.
yeah, I mean, it was rubbish,
You
but-
can't say that. No, that
Okay.
doesn't count.
That's funny. I will say that social media,
Uh-huh.
when it comes to your parenting journey, gives parents lots of rubbish. We spend a lot of time clearing that for all these kings. There you go. I brought them all together.
Well done. Congratulations. 3 out of 3. Well, but that's the thing about this is you're giving a tremendous amount of education. Because everybody knows if it's on social media and the internet, it's true. Just ask Abraham Lincoln.
Right, of course. I mean,
Right, exactly. How do you go through and clear all that out and help with the education? Because I'm sure you get 1,000 people a year that come in and say, well, my mom said that, or my aunt said that, or my sister's brother's cousin once removed from my second marriage to the iguana said. How do you clear through that?
Well, like I said, evidence-based information.
Right.
So we educate parents on like where that comes from first.
Right.
And then we start showing them where to find evidence-based information.
It's part of educating your client.
It is part of it. It's all education, and not saying that the anecdotal stuff doesn't matter.
Right.
Because I feel like that's part of the journey, right? So sometimes with what your mother's sister's cousin's, pet iguana said,
Sure, right.
said is valuable. And I think that the reason why we exist is because those community circles
Right.
don't exist like they used to a long time ago. So before, those were the people that you were going to. But now in like our modern world, people are often removed from their families for multiple different reasons.
Right.
And so we are just recreating kind of what used to exist and building that community for parents. So education and community, we're bringing those things together.
Should pediatricians be concerned that you're replacing them?
Oh, no, not at all. Nobody should be concerned. I think that our education services and our support services are like the middle ground between like the parents and the pediatrician. Oftentimes, I worked as a nurse in an OB/GYN clinic, right? And oftentimes we saw so many patients that we just didn't have all of the time. Now, every doctor and every nurse would love to sit with you and chat for 2 hours about what's going to happen.
Right.
The demand is so high and there's so few providers. And so we act as that middleman. Where could you get good, valuable, evidence-based information and then have 2 hours to talk through it? And so that's what we're filling that void.
What is singularly the worst piece of advice given to fathers?
I think that it's not so much advice. It's like the idea. Okay, go with me.
Okay, sure.
It's the idea that fathers don't have a place in like birth.
Okay.
Okay, and
How
that
so?
is not true.
Okay.
Well, because they're the partner. They play a huge piece, right, in parenthood, but
Right.
also in the birth of their child. In the support of their partner while
Right.
they're birthing,
Right.
through labor, through pregnancy. And so the idea that they don't have a place, or just the feeling that society has made them feel like, the mother is going to do, or the birthing parent is going to do their thing, and I'm going to stand back here
Right.
and maybe sit on my phone or take a nap, and that
Or
they
be
don't,
out in the hallway.
right,
Yeah.
right, exactly, and that they don't have a place is wrong. That's where childbirth education comes in, so that way they can learn how to support their partner. So that idea is just, out. That's poor information.
Sure.
Yeah, so not so much advice. I guess the poor advice of, that's what I go with.
Both you and your husband own businesses separately, and yet there's got to be time when you've got to turn off the phone, turn off the business, and just be the two of you and your children. How do you manage that?
I feel like, have pretty good boundaries. We make it a point to eat dinner together,
Right.
as long as I'm not at a birth.
Sure, right.
And so those are things that we do. We try to keep like a pretty steady, like normal functioning household.
Right.
He's usually he's home by 6:30,
Right.
no later. So we just have those really strict boundaries, so that way we can have like some normalcy in our lives.
Right.
And then we also we take 2 vacations a year where we kind of disconnect.
Right.
Sometimes they're short and sometimes they're long, just depending on what season of life we're in.
Right.
But we just make that dedication, and oftentimes those vacations just look like us planning ourselves like at a campground
Right.
and disconnecting.
And going someplace where the cell phone just magically
Doesn't work.
Oh,
Yeah, that's the greatest thing. And we just walk, and how we're there for each other is like we often spend about an hour at the end of our day together, just decompressing and talking about work. So I hear him and he hears me, and oftentimes we're not giving advice, we're just listening to each other. And then if we need advice, we tell each other that. But we just take that time because obviously, owning a business can be difficult, and there's the challenges that we both encounter, and that's just how we support each other. And
Do you have children?
I do.
Okay.
My husband came as a package deal.
Okay.
And so I have 2 older children
Right.
from him, and I have a son who's 22 and a daughter who's 19.
Right.
And then we have one child together who's 2.
2.
Yeah, a daughter who's 2.
And she was a bit of work.
She was the product of 3 rounds of IVF.
IVF.
Yes.
With-
In vitro fertilization. So
Wow.
yeah, so we faced some fertility issues.
Right.
She was quite a journey. It was quite a journey to her,
Right.
but we got her. So
Did you have this business when you were trying to have her?
I started the business in the beginning of my fertility journey, and then went through that while running it.
Wow. And that brings us to our second Visioneer question, which is brought to you by Mike Saba, a Zillow Premier agent with Watson Realty, selling Bakersfield homes since 1992. Give Mike Saba a call at 661-203-8406 or reach him at mikesaba1@icloud.com today. Visioneer Tim asks, I feel like I'm doing everything right for my business, and yet it's not enough. How do you deal with this and not make it toxic?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Well, I think that one, getting really clear about your boundaries, setting clear boundaries, so then that way you have some kind of balance. And I think that that's really hard for business owners.
Right.
We often don't have really great boundaries. So first setting the boundaries, and then that will allow you to see like, well, what is it that you're doing? Is it because you're spending late nights away from your family that makes you feel like you're doing everything? Because maybe if you had clear boundaries with your clients, like I see clients between 9 and 5, and then that's when the communication stops. Oftentimes that will give you the clarity to see that maybe you were spinning your wheels for nothing. And then it also makes it so that way it's not toxic.
Well, and one of the things too about this is your husband owns a business?
Yes.
What's the name of his business?
Auto Empire.
And you were able to build and develop this business because he started his first.
Yes.
Why was that choice made?
I think mostly because he knew what he wanted to do first.
Okay, sure, fair enough.
He had his vision first, and so I supported that, and mine kind of just, showed itself to me during that time.
Right.
He is the reason why I've been able to do this, because it is very hard to start a business, and
Right.
and he's kind of had that solid foundation for us, so that way I could, kind of, I would say play around here, but
Right.
essentially figure out what would work.
Has he been able to be the one that stepped through the minefield and told you, don't do that?
Yeah, that's what he does. He does a mind setting off the mind.
Sure.
Which is great about him. Obviously, he doesn't always like to blow things up, but
Right.
he doesn't mind having those really tough conversations. And I think that's important, is to have somebody on your side who's willing to have those tough conversations, to say, like, Jenica, I don't think that this one particular thing is working.
Right.
Because those are the realities, right?
Right.
Is that some things won't work, even though as much as we would like them to.
Sure. Right. It's not easy starting and keeping a business going. And there's a lot of business owners that get to a point where they're tired and they want to quit. Is the American dream dead?
No, I don't think so.
Why is that?
If I just like go way back to like my roots,
Right.
my mom was an immigrant.
Sure.
She came in her early 20s, and she from the Philippines,
Okay.
and she didn't even know how to count American money when she got here.
Right.
She had to learn on the job, which was her first job, circus,
Right.
and in the where they had all the games. She
Right.
learned how to count money.
Right.
She wasn't an American citizen until I was 10. My dad, who is a person of color who identifies as a Black man,
Right.
and also he's half Black, half Spanish, and so his first language wasn't English.
Right.
Also, with a front forward appearance of presenting of a person of color or a Black man, I think that, like, obviously statistically the odds are against him.
Right.
And he's a business owner.
Right.
My mom's a business owner.
Right.
And I'm a business owner. No, the dream is not dead, because you're talking about two generations of business owners, with people who have odds that are against them.
Right.
Immigrants, people who couldn't speak the language, who English, right? Who couldn't count the money, and we're here and we own businesses. So it's not dead.
Jenica, this has been a privilege. Thank you for joining us here on Small Business Celebration.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
And if Visioneers want to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
So they can head over to our website, thenestandco.com, or they can reach us on social media.
Okay.
Our handles are The Nest and Co.
Right,
on
sure.
Instagram and Facebook. They can also contact us via email. They can send us inquiries at info@thenestandco.com.
Okay, right.
And also our phone number is 661-234-9894.
What was that number again?
661-234-9894.
And where is the location that we're at?
Yeah, so we are located in downtown Bakersfield, East Chester, so 1031 17th Street in Bakersfield, California, 93301.
And if you enjoy Small Business Celebration, go ahead and like, subscribe, and notify, and I'll be right back with my final thought. Hey, Michael, guess what? What? Did you know Small Business Celebration's got a blog? Really? I had no idea. Yeah, go check it out at smallbusinesscelebration.com/blog today, where you can learn more about all the great things and all the great people on the show. That is very sound advice. Yeah, just go to smallbusinesscelebration.com/blog today. You can lead a horse to water. Recently, our family adopted a Russian blue kitten. Her name is Max, short for Maxine, to complement our other Russian blue, Sasha, who's about 12 and a half years older than Max. And in cat years, that's more than one generation. And we've just finished the rainy season here in the southern San Joaquin Valley. And one of the things about the rainy season is once it's over, every weed known to humanity grows in my backyard, including stinging nettle. Now, if you're not familiar with what stinging nettle is, it's a plant that when it grows, it has all these little thorns. They're almost microscopic, or at least that's what they seem like. And they hurt if you're not wearing gloves. Well, Max and Sasha ventured into the great backyard, and sure enough, Max was going straight for the biggest thicket of the stinging nettle. Sasha, seeing this, trotted after her and gave her a pop To which Max froze and gave him this absolutely bewildered look like, "What are you doing?" To which Sasha gave her the look of, "Meh," as in to say, "You don't want to go there. You don't want to do that." Did Max listen? Of course not. She's a brand new kitten. And she turned and started bounding in there, and it got about 6 inches into the thicket and jumped about 3 feet in the air and scurried back into the house. As she was running back into the house, Sasha kind of looked at her and went, "Yeah," as to say, "I told you so, but you did it anyway." How many times have we seen this lesson happen in real life? Well, I saw it the other day, reminded me of this. And take comfort in the knowledge that not only has this happened for thousands of millennia before, but it will also be repeated over and over again. After all, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. I hope you enjoyed our conversation this week with Jenica Willis, the owner of the Nest & Company, and I hope you learned something that you can use today to grow a strong and profitable business. And we'll see you here again next week when we celebrate another small business making a big breakthrough. But in the credits, we do dad jokes. And in this case, it's mom jokes.
Oh, that's so great.
Okay? So why does a mother carry her baby?
I don't know.
Because the baby can't carry the mother.
Oh my God. Well, you're right.
Why shouldn't a woman have a baby after 40?
That's a good question.
Don't you think 40 babies is enough?
Because my mind was going until we did, like, I don't know if I like that question. That's hilarious.
Shall we start?
Yes,
Okay, please. Okay. Welcome to another fantastic episode here on Small